All right, last section of Unit 3. Equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. So just a little bit of a review here. If x equals y, then 2x equals 2y. What property is that? Well, if you notice, the only difference is we multiplied each side by 2, so that's the multiplication property. Wherever you do one side, you do the other. All right, if bn equals nc, then bn minus 6 is the same as nc minus 6. Well, it looks exactly the same, except we subtracted on both sides. So that's the subtraction property. The measure of angle A equals the measure of angle A. It equals itself. When you look at yourself in the mirror, it's a reflection. So that's the reflexive property. If FG equals JK, then JK equals FG. They just switch sides. Left side is the same as the right, right is the same as the left. That's symmetry. If D is 38 and E is 38, then E is equal to D. That's transitive. All right, write an equation of the line that is parallel or perpendicular to the given line and passes through the given point. What's the relationship between the slopes? All right, so on the first one, A, we see it is parallel, okay? The two lines are parallel. Red is parallel to blue. So we're trying to find the equation of that line. Well, we know the slope is going to be the same, except we're using this point. So if we start off with y equals mx plus b and plug in what we know, actually, I'm making this more complicated because we already know this. We know the y-intercept is right here at 2. We know the slope, so we know the equation of that line is 3/2 x plus 2. I was going to make it more complicated for a harder problem, but we don't need to do that. Now, on this one, they're perpendicular. Okay? So we're not going to use this slope. We're going to use the opposite reciprocal. We've talked about this before. So the opposite of positive is negative, and 3/2 reciprocal is 2/3. So the slope of the blue line is positive, sorry, my bad, negative. I said it, but I didn't write it. Negative 2/3. And that makes sense because my name is going downhill. On this one, my name is going uphill. And my y-intercept is right here at 0, 1. So the equation of that line is y equals negative 2/3 x plus 1. All right, parallel lines. In a coordinate plane, two non-vertical lines are parallel if and only if they have the same slope. We've known that for a long time, okay? And any two lines that are vertical are parallel. Same thing with horizontal, actually. Slope of perpendicular lines, which we've already covered before. Perpendicular lines have a 90-degree angle. And what we just talked about, again, opposite reciprocal. Okay, this is a fancy way of saying opposite reciprocal. So if it's 3/4 for one, it's going to be negative 4/3 for the other. If it's positive 2 for one, it's going to be negative 1/2, because it's really 2/1, right, for the other. Okay, determine which of the lines are parallel and which of them are perpendicular. So we need to find the slopes of all these lines. So I don't know why I wrote an S. D, we have line D, we have line A, we have line B, and we have line C. 4 lines. Now, if this was not graphed, we would actually have to do the slope formula every time, y minus y over x minus x. But we can just count. So looking at line D, we have a point right here and right here. So we can just go ahead, and we know it's going to be negative because we can see that it's going downhill to the right. So we can just count down 1, down 2, right 1. So that is a slope of negative 2 over 1, or just simply negative 2. A, we're going to use this one and this one. So I can just count up 1 to the right, 1, 2, 3. Up 1, right 3. B, we're going to use this point and this point. So I can go up 1, right 2, or I can go down 1, left 2. Doesn't matter. But it is a positive line with a slope of 1/2. And then C, I'm going to use this point and this point. It's up 1, right 2. So we can say B is parallel to C because they have the same slope. And D is perpendicular to B and C because these both have the same slope, which is perpendicular to D. We could have also said D is perpendicular to B and D is perpendicular to C separately. Either way, same thing. And A is just hanging out there, doing its own thing. Write an equation of a line passing through this point that is parallel to this line. Okay, this is what I was going to show you earlier, but we need to do it now. So first thing we need to do is identify the slope. This slope is 2. If it's parallel, my new slope is also going to be 2. And I'm going to use this point. So here's how it goes. It's really easy. You write y equals mx plus b. You plug in what you know. You know y is 1, m is 2, x is negative 1, and we're going to find b, the y-intercept. So that's 1 equals negative 2 plus b. Add 2 to both sides. My y-intercept is 3. I'm going to put that together with this slope. Y equals 2x plus 3. Very simple. All right, same idea. Going through this point, except it's perpendicular to this line. And careful, this is not solved for y yet. So we need to move this over here by subtraction. Very important, because now instead of having a positive 2 slope, it has a negative 2 slope. So I'm going to identify this slope. But remember, I want a perpendicular line. So that means I need the opposite, so positive, and reciprocal. Okay? This is the information I'm going to use to solve my problem now. I don't need this anymore. My new slope is a positive 1/2 because it's perpendicular to negative 2. Now I'm just going to do the same thing. Y equals mx plus b. I start with the skeleton every time. My y is 3. My m is 1/2. My x is 2. And I have plus b. 3 equals half of 2 is 1. If I subtract 1 from both sides, I get 2. That is my y-intercept to go with my slope. And here's the equation of the line. 1/2 x plus 2. Find the distance from point 1, 0 to the line y equals negative x plus 3. So remember that the distance from a point to a line must form a right angle. It must be perpendicular. All right? So therefore, we need to identify this slope, which is negative 1. But for over here, we need the opposite reciprocal. Well, the opposite of negative is positive, and the reciprocal of 1 is really just 1. Okay? And it's going through this point. So now we're just going to do the same thing we've been doing. Y equals, keep the same format I've been doing. Whoops. Y equals m x plus b. So it's be an m. I said m, but didn't write it. Now I'm going to substitute. So my y is 0. My m is 1, my x is 1, and I'm going to find b. So 0 equals 1 plus b. Subtract 1 from both sides. My b is negative 1. So this equation of this line is going to be y equals 1x, or just x, plus b, which is minus 1. So my y-intercept is actually going to be right here with a slope of 1, which means it's going to go right here. And we know that this is perpendicular to that line. And that's it.